Welcome to the E-Show with Neil Ravin. Founded in 2013, the EHL has become the college placement leader on the East Coast. Sit back and learn more about the next step in your junior hockey career.
Welcome to the E-Show, presented by the Polybox Foundation. The Foundation's mission centers around their daily motto, "We take care of our own," as they help out all of those within the hockey community who've experienced a catastrophic event. Learn more at polyboxfoundation.org. What's up? My name is Neil Ravin, and this is episode number 128 of the E-Show. On this week's episode, we feature one of the newer franchises in the EHL, the Protec Jr. Ducks. Heading into just their third season in the league, Terry Watt joins the podcast to discuss the positives and the negatives that the program has endured over the first 2 years. From the pandemic season to a new facility this fall, Watt and the Ducks have encountered plenty of hurdles along the way, but have overcome each of these hurdles by quickly establishing themselves as a program to keep an eye on. To wrap things up, the E-Crew assembles the top 10 list for the Ducks, which includes some of the 15 NCAA commitments the franchise has racked up over the first 2 years. I'm joined now by Terry Watt, the head coach and GM of the Protec Jr. Ducks. How's it going, Terry?
Going good, Neil. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for coming back on the podcast. Another Team of the Week feature with a kind of a new franchise only going into your third year. So let's jump into things. When you look back on this past season, 21-22, what are the first thoughts that come to mind for you?
Disappointment. Just because, we really did have a good team last year. I think we had a good team both the years we've been in the league, but last year was just something was different. Just the chemistry we had in the room. We had a little bit of everything. We had size, we had skill, we had role players. Just last year there was just something special, and it was just disappointed the way it ended because we had a lot of higher expectations for that team last year, just based on how the regular season went and how well we did and how we stacked up against other teams throughout the year. But it's sports, right? There's always got to be winners and losers, and unfortunately it didn't work out the way we wanted it to. And kudos and congratulations to the 87s for winning the championship and representing our South Division, and just building off of that and making the league and all the teams just aware that we have a lot of depth in this league, and no matter what division you're in, all our teams are strong. Coaches do a good job. The players are good, and it's not just all the North teams. It's the South teams, the Central, the East. Anybody can win in this league.
I'm glad you started to go down that path because you're the 10th team that we featured so far this offseason. And everyone thinks their division is the toughest. But you kind of mentioned when it comes to sports, there's always a winner and a loser. And in talking with you and Josh Fusco, Adam Hooley, Mark Catron throughout the year, I got the sentiment that if you play out the South playoffs 10 times or whatever it may be, you could get a different winner every time. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, obviously everyone can debate this and go back and forth forever for hours, but I call it biased if you want, but if you look at the numbers and you look at how the South teams did in the showcases, I would like to think that the South Division was probably the toughest division last year to play in. And that's not taking anything away from the other great teams in our league and the other great divisions. It's just, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Neil, we're the only division that had the last place team that was over 500, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. So if you just go based off that and you go based off the showcase numbers when we're crossing over, I would like to think that the South Division gained some respect last year.
For sure. And maybe this will sound controversial, but maybe if you were in a different division, you make it past the round that you did in the playoffs. But is there a positive in that, knowing that being in the South Division, every matchup you had, whether it was Maryland or the Little Flyers of the 87s, you had to be ready for, a battle. Did it make your team better?
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, I didn't really answer your first question there, but you're right. There, anytime we played a team in our division, I mean, we didn't think it was going to be an easy road. And don't get me wrong, it's kind of a double-edged sword to say that, because I don't think any win in this league is an easy win, no matter what division, no matter what team we're playing. But you know what I mean? You just people have a feeling going into games, but every time we played a team in our division, we're like, there's no easy game, or easier game is a better way to put it. Every game was a battle, and yeah, I wouldn't know who to bet on any given night when we're playing another team. But it's just the way it is, and like we said, sports is sports, right? So it's kind of irrelevant if we did the playoffs 10 times over, because if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, right?
Yeah.
So even if we were in another division and we made it to the finals, you still have to get through the best team, which last year was the 87s.
Yep. And what you've done though in 2 years, I'm sure this is along the lines of the positives that you've found. To come in during that COVID season, that was your very first year, and then have this season be this only your second season. Yes, one playoff series win so far, but also 15 commitments. Is that where you point the biggest positive to what you've accomplished in a very short amount of time in the EHL?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like we're all competitive. We all want to win. Obviously, that's why we do this. But we are in the business of getting kids to college. That's what the EHL sells. That's what we sell. Obviously, winning a championship and putting kids into college would be the ideal situation. But again, only one team gets to do that every year. But yeah, I would like to say that it is something that we are very proud about. Just the amount of commitments that we have had in the short amount of time that we've been in the league. But again, that's a testament to our players. I put that more on them, because as a coach, I mean, I could pick up a phone or write an email to a college coach and recommend a player, but at the end of the day, it's your player that's got to sell himself, and he's got to look good in the games, and he's got to do the things that the colleges want, right? So I could be on the phone 10 hours a day promoting guys, but if the guys aren't getting the job done on the ice and aren't making themselves attractive to colleges, then it's irrelevant, right? So it's a big shout out to our players, the character that we've been able to bring in and the talent we've been able to bring in.
And along those lines, there's been challenges, as I mentioned. The first season was the COVID season, and everything that just entailed to get through that season. The second season this past year was the first time he had the chance to actually participate in a showcase, right? Which we had 5 of them. And then this season coming up, you have to change rinks. Does it feel like there's a hurdle for you every year?
It's called adapting, right? I guess.
Yes.
Yes. And we actually changed rinks. I don't think we changed rink before playoffs last year, actually.
Okay.
So I don't know if many people know that, but yes, we will be going to our first full season in a new facility this year, which we are looking forward to.
What is it about the new facility that has you excited?
Well, first of all, the rink we were in before, we were very lucky. Protec Ponds is a gorgeous facility. It was very clean. It was one of the newer buildings in the league. But I think the thing that excites me most about the new facility, and I know a lot of the players that have already seen it, is just the atmosphere of the rink. It's actually a full-size Coliseum seating rink. You kind of get that minor professional feel to it. Hopefully we can get people in the stands to make it feel even more like that. But you know what I'm saying? When you're a player and you're playing on a bigger rink with stadium seating, you just get more of that like feeling. You know what I mean? You just get up for games a little bit more. It's a better environment. The guys are obviously going to have a brand new locker room this year that's being built as we speak at that rink. It's just something new, right? And sometimes, or most of the times, new things are always exciting, right? It's a new home, it's a new challenge, it's a new year. It's obviously going to be a new roster, so part of life is adapting. So this is something that happened. We had to move rinks, so we're adapting and we're going to make it work.
And along those lines, it's a new season, right? And I know in your mind, the perfect year is commit everybody and win a championship. But is there a bar that if you reach a certain number of commitments or wins or somewhere in the playoffs where you can still say to yourself, that was a good step forward for this upcoming year?
You always give me this question. No, because I don't think, I don't know. I'm a competitor. It's a hard question, and some people are going to disagree with this, but I do this because I love the game and I love winning. Obviously, getting kids to college or making it to the second round or making it to the Final Four, all those things are great. But for me, at the end of the day, Ricky Bobby said it best: if you ain't first, you're last. So call me a grouch if you want, but yes, I love getting kids committed to college. I love having a winning season, but I also love winning championships. So that feeling is, once you've tasted it before, or you've tasted it a couple times, which I've been fortunate enough to do, it's what you want to feel, and that's how you should feel at the end of every year. And let's just put it this way: if you're going to force me to give you an answer, I will be very disappointed if I don't make it to the Final Four this year.
Okay, I like that answer. I will also say this is episode 128 of the podcast, and Ricky Bobby has never been quoted before, so that's a first as well. But you mentioned earlier, so many great coaches in this league, and what I like to kick back or take a step back and see is how you all interact with each other, at showcases, at games, in the playoffs, at combines, right? We had our first ever combines this year in Mass and in Michigan. We actually got a house all together out in Michigan. It was a great time for you being able to become closer with some of the other coaches in the league. What has that just done for your career?
It's been great. Obviously, being able to interact with the coaches in the league and pick their brains and learn from each other. Like you said, the one of the biggest benefits we have is that we have so many good coaches in this league, smart minds, smart hockey minds. And I remember just going to the first combine at the end of the year we had up in Walpole there. Just being on the ice with all the other coaches and watching everybody do the different drills and stuff like that during the practices. So you're learning from each other, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's great. And then you build relationships, and like you said, you're constantly growing your network as a person or as a coach. And like you said, Coach Trider and I became fairly close just through combines this year that we attended. We talked a lot about hockey and stuff like that, and you talked about advancing your career. It ended up leading into Coach Strider offering me a job, an additional job on the side. So it's just good to always meet the people you coach against and you work with, and the people you respect, because you help each other, you push each other, become better coaches and better people. And in my mind, as a coach, if you're not willing to learn and evolve with the game, then you're not a good coach in my mind, and you get left behind. You always got to be growing. You always got to be willing to learn and not be stubborn. Let's be honest here. 90% of practice drills are drills that coaches saw another coach do. You know what I mean? So
fair point.
It's not like somebody just reinvented the wheel when they run a good practice. You know what I mean? At some point, that coach learned it from another coach or someone else, right?
Yeah.
So, it's great getting to meet all the coaches and interact with them a lot more. Like I said, it makes everybody better. It makes our league stronger and closer.
And one thing that makes us do more is just commit more kids to college, which is what this league is all about is the shield and getting kids off to school. For you, the 15 commitments in 2 years, 8 your first year, 7 your second year, it has been great. But in particular, and I know we're going to get into this when I bring Jeff and Anthony on, we talk about the top 10, to have 2 players apiece going to Fredonia and to Brockport. How locked in will you be when Fredonia and Brockport play for the first time this upcoming season?
I'm not spoiling anything and telling you where my allegiance is lying, because that will lead to a disaster. I'll get text messages from former players, but I will definitely be keeping a closer eye on the SUNYAC this year. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
But I mean, even in past years, I always follow my players when they go off to college and what teams. I always check in on them. So it won't be anything different for me. It'll just be a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more chirping with the boys about rivalries. That's about it.
All good stuff for sure. Well, I appreciate you coming back on the podcast and wish you the best of luck in your new facilities upcoming year. And I hope you get a chance to enjoy a little bit of the rest of the off season.
All right. Thank you very much, Neil, for having me. As always, you do a great job, and looking forward to getting back to work here.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks again to Terry Watt for coming on the podcast this week. With that, let's bring in the E crew now. And Jeff, Anthony, we keep going back and forth between teams with a lot of history, teams with not. And the Protec Jr. Ducks, not a lot of history, but you can say that they've quickly established themselves as a legitimate competitive team in the EHL. And that's hard to do when you're brand new to a league like this, right?
Yeah, good morning, boys. Quack, quack. Anthony, I hope you're okay today, too. We know this is an arch rival of your beloved 87, so hopefully you're your blood pressure meds before the episode recording, and hopefully you're nice and calm and steady, my friend.
I think this episode is much easier considering how last year's playoffs went.
Oh,
I think
knew that was
if it were the other way around,
then
maybe this would have been a hard episode. But
I might have stirred the pot for that.
Well, to Neil's point, yes, the Ducks do deserve a lot of credit. Between the NA and the EHL, I've seen a lot of expansion teams really stumble out of the gate. You know, even if they've become good teams, the first year or two would usually be very tough for them. Protec hasn't had that problem. They've been competitive right out of the gate. So yes, they do deserve a lot of credit for, being competitive and making the playoffs in their first 2 seasons. So, and not to mention, even though they haven't been around very long, there's still plenty of players to choose from in this top 10 list.
Yeah, I think they've followed the molds of the New Jersey 87s, the New Hampshire Avalanche. There's been some teams recently that have followed that expansion model the opposite way and have become good teams very quickly, like Protec. But that wasn't the case early on, like we just talked about. Teams like Vermont Lumberjacks years ago. I remember it took them a long time to really kind of build. But Protec,
Maryland, the Railers.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about the Railers earlier this season. Good point, Anthony. They struggled out of the gates and then found their way. But they obviously had a big win improvement this year, going 25-16. They played 8 more games. Obviously, their first season. I mean, give them credit too. Their first season, the pandemic season, 2020, 2021, and you still won 17 games, lost 15, lost 6 in overtime. But this past year, 25-16-5, 55 points as opposed to 40 in their opening season. And they lowered 2 important numbers, or they lowered the goals against by 10, and they scored 14 more goals. And I got to be exact, or else Terry Watt's going to call or text me right after he listens to this. Love you, Terry. We're going to bring up some good Terry story time stories today. He's a man of facts.
Yes, plus 15 commitments. And the one thing, Anthony, I wanted you to mention, they're doing all this in maybe the toughest state for junior hockey, because you look at just the 87s already, and then we're adding the Philly Hockey Club. We know the Titans won the NA championship. We know the Hitmen won their USPHL championship. You can make the case that the state of New Jersey is one of the toughest states to really break into in junior hockey, and they've done it pretty well in 2 years.
Yeah. I would argue sort of something a little different, that New Jersey's becoming a junior hockey hotbed.
Yes.
Where I remember listening to a Devils game a couple seasons ago, and they had someone on from USA Hockey, and they said that New Jersey is, I think, the fourth highest state in terms of USA Hockey registered players.
Wow.
So they have a lot of players. They have a lot of talent coming in. You're seeing some NHL players who are growing up in New Jersey, the greater New York City area, like Johnny Gaudreau, James Van Riemsdyk. I know you have, someone like Adam Fox from Long Island, but still, like, that region, you're seeing a lot of players coming up through the pipeline. And for the Ducks, that could be one of the reasons why they've been able to compete right from the get-go.
For sure. Do you want to talk more about Johnny Gaudreau? Or are you okay right now?
Look!
We thought he was going to be a Devil. We were all texting and
look. It's free agency. It was his decision. It's not like he played for the Devils. This is nowhere near as bad as, say, like a Zach Parise or Ilya Kovalchuk situation. Okay. So no, I'm not really upset. And considering
Anthony,
all the other
you got Eric Holla,
the Devils, like the trade for Ty Smith to get John Marino, I think a lot of Devils fans are actually pretty happy about this offseason.
Actually, fun fact, when I did my PA appearance when I was trying out for the Boston Bruins, John Marino scored his first career NHL goal that night. Like, he was on the Pittsburgh Penguins.
There you go.
And you'll enjoy Eric Hall, Anthony. He was a good player. Oh, and Andre Palat from the Lightning. Nice deal there. So
thought that was a bit of an overpay, but whatever.
Yeah, you got some pieces.
But let's dive into the top 10 now for the Ducks. As we mentioned, only 2 seasons, but I mean, they got a player right here at the top that's almost at 100 points in Spencer Quinn.
Yeah.
I mean, to put up 83 points in 2 years, like, that's legit.
Yeah, smaller player too. Not a huge guy, but you definitely notice him out on the ice. Size, much like a old New Jersey Devil, keep the New Jersey theme going. Brian Giunta size, not a big dude forward wise, but definitely put a lot of pucks in the net and distributed as well with the 33 goals, 50 assists. And he was a Vaughn top player of the month twice this year.
Verbero. Vaughn's a goalie. Vaughn's a goalie. Yeah,
I'm messing up our sponsors. It's off season.
Come on,
I'm in off season mode. I should know that. Bond's goalie equipment, Verbero player of the month. How dare me? Sorry, Verbero. Sorry, Bond.
The funny thing about Spencer Quinn that I remember noticing right from the get-go, every time he touched the puck, he would start doing the Mohawks, where you kind of have your skates like sort of in a straight line, where you kind of open up your hips. Sidney Crosby does that a lot, but he does it along the corners. Quinn will do it in open ice. Like, he'll do it as he's skating up ice. But I guess it kind of adds to his shiftiness. So I guess that's why he does it. But I just remember seeing it for the first time. I'm just like, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. As I mentioned, 83 points for Quinn. He's currently the all-time leading point scorer for the Ducks. So he's obviously on this list. And I want to begin this top 10 as kind of a Fredonia versus Brockport, because the next 3 names are obvious, right? You can easily include on this list Nick Newman. Yep. So Quinn and Newman played on the same line together this past season, probably even 2 years when you include the first year, and they're both coming off to SUNY Fredonia. Their third line mate was James Tilley, who's going off to SUNY Brockport with Ryan Bro. All 4 names are on the top 10. Absolutely. They have to be, right?
Hands down. Ryan Bro, one of the better offensive defensemen, real popular fantasy pick this past year. Can't wait to see what that kid does in college. He was a really good player.
I just find it funny that, like, you're starting with that forward line, 2 to Fredonia, 1 to Brockport. So you're going to see a lot of each other again now in college. It's on opposite sides. Add in Bro, the defenseman. And then, like, obviously, I think most people know this, but, Fredonia has 10 guys from our league heading there this fall. I need to actually check the Brockport number.
Yeah, we keep joking, but we said we are going to do a Brockport episode at some point, didn't we?
I think we did. Yes.
Bring Coach Dickinson back on. He's been on the East Show before.
Well, and Brockport has 9, right? And something that I always forget is that there's a player who's going to Brockport who played for the 87s. And I'm not sure if Anthony knows this, but prior to playing for the 87s, he actually played for the Ducks.
Anastasio.
Oh, Anastasio. Yeah, I saw this earlier. I saw this last night.
Come on, Neil. I know my players.
I just want to make sure, right? Because it's funny. They're rivals, the two teams. I think everyone knows that.
Are they?
It goes farther than just the broadcaster, right? They are rivals, but they've actually worked pretty well together
with switching
but
players.
Anastasio. I mean, Matt Sales went over and helped the Ducks in their first year win their first ever playoff series against the Apple Corps. So
one of the more successful Ducks goalies, if you look at stats, he played 5-6 games and he saved like 95% of his pucks. Hayden Watson was another one I saw.
Yep.
That was a Protec Duck, and check out his EP pick. He's got the cup, the EHL cup with his New Jersey 87s jersey. So,
it's just they work well together, right? And actually right now, 87's head coach Adam Hooley is over in Israel for the Maccabi games, right? Mm-hmm. One of the players that's on that team is Brody Selman. George Wiener, right? So just more Ducks and 87's connections, right? It's crazy how it all works out. But I gotta add these names to the list because quickly we have 4. I think you guys are in agreement that we have to have these 4: Quinn, Newman, Tilly,
absolutely,
and Bro.
And we're gonna rack up another defenseman too, Neil. I think we're gonna put William White on there. Another one of the original Protec Jr. Ducks, was there for 2 years with Coach Watt, and not as offensive as Ryan Bro. Only 2 goals, had 26 assists, but another guy that we always noticed when he was out on the ice, and he had a letter on his chest, and now he's going to Alvernia. So congrats to him for and another local New Jersey guy from Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Anthony, I'm not sure if that's close to you or not, but he was another guy that was definitely a difference maker on the back end. He'll be missed with Protec, but somebody that definitely has to go on this list too.
He was such a strong skater. Like, I remember a showcase just like watching him just like overpower somebody else, just like literally basically skate through another player. I mean, obviously he had the size that helped, right?
Yeah, 6'4", not too bad, huh?
That's pretty good height, right? But like he was such a strong skater as well. But as Jeff mentioned, going off to Alvernia, well, look at the improvement though from year 1 to year 2 for him, right?
Huge.
I know we mentioned he's not the same point producer that maybe a Ryan Bro is, but to put up 20 more points than he did from year 1 to year 2, that's a big jump.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of assists. I mean, that shows you what he's jumping up into the play. He's pinching a little better, maybe just being a little more active with his eyes when he's getting through the neutral zone and getting into the offensive end. And yeah, a great job by Coach Watt to be able to keep all 4 of those, bring them in initially and then be able to bring them back last year. And that was the reason why they had such an improvement. Those guys got better.
I know I just mentioned this name. I think I want to make sure he's included because Brody Selman was a captain for the Ducks that first year. Just a single season put up 40 points combined. He's actually now playing club at University of Arizona. I mentioned was with Hooley from the 87s at the Maccabi games. I think he has to be on this list as well.
Yep.
And maybe we slow down and get to story time because we already have 6.
Another New Jersey guy too. Noticing that. So for everyone that doesn't know, Terry Watt, we've talked about in our last episode, the Express episode. He's Canadian, but he recruits these New Jerseyans well to the Protec Ducks.
All right, so let's pause for a second because we did mention Terry last episode. And I think what's fun about Terry, I think it's fun about a lot of the coaches, right? You got to be able to dish it and you got to be able to take it, right? And Terry's
got some text from some coaches, right, Neil?
Yes, Terry's one of the best at it because when you show up with a whiteboard this big.
Oh my God, we have the picture of it. Yes.
You haven't seen this picture?
No, I don't think I saw it live in person when I was on the play-by-play mic. This is how me and Terry became. He was one of the coaches that I wasn't as close with until this incident. And then me and him became. That was early in the season, right? Was that Walpole?
No, this is the January showcase. This is in Exeter, right?
It was January. It wasn't until January.
And he showed up with this whiteboard, and Sean Walsh from SNU literally came and found me in the rink and was like, "You need to stop whatever you're doing right now and come look at the whiteboard that Terry's using." It was a good 3 feet. All right, yeah. I mean 3-4 feet long, maybe even bigger. But it's funny because Terry can laugh about it. So can we. right?
Yep.
Like if Terry didn't laugh about it, maybe it's not quite as funny, but he can poke fun at himself also. And when he showed up with this, it was pretty hysterical.
And then that was the same day that Walshy, we put a new flavor in our Hockey TV EHL showcase this year. And Coach Walsh has joined me for quite a few broadcasts now. And he joined me for that game. And he was the one to put it. He's like, I don't know, Jefferson. He's like, check out the whiteboard for Coach Watt right now. I think he needs to lower it because I think I can see his play perfectly from all the way up here. And then that's what I kind of went on, and I was like, hey, come on, Coach Watt. You don't want to be showing everyone your play. And then he found me shortly thereafter. And we became a little closer over that. And he was like, hey, Jefferson, I respect you on the show, but let's get into something, my man. I heard you trip me about my board. All right. Because he said what happened was the players left, if I remember this correctly, his players left his smaller board in the locker room.
That's correct.
And so he was forced to use that one. He wasn't going to have him run, mid game. So he's like, screw it. I'll just use this. I don't care. But next time, freaking bring it. Will you please?
They also forgot his gear, like his skates and glove and stick on the bus for a practice once. He was so angry. He's like, what am I going to do? Run on the ice with boots on? I was like, I don't know, man. That's a you problem, not a me problem.
Boots too, not sneakers. Terry, one of the best dressed coaches, as you can see from that too. He had the big clipboard, but made up for it with his suave look. Look at that shirt, tie, shoes, hair's always on point. Always is a nice jacket. And speaking of that, that's another quick story. He congrats again. He just became a scout for the Maine Nordiques.
Yes, that's a great transition, Jeff, because he's doing some scouting for them. One of their, let me figure out what Brett Schreider's official title is, because that's how this connection was formed. Because Brett's a scout as well for them, but maybe I gotta figure out the exact title.
Yeah,
Director of Scouting is Brett, right? So Brett helped Terry become, I think he's an international scout or something like that also. So they're both kind of doing stuff with the Maine Nordiques in the NA. And then they actually were both in Michigan with me for that first ever Michigan Combine that we had this past April. And while we were there was a lot of conversation for Terry about how he could bring back both Trey Miller and Tristan Fatadad. And Trotter was like, whichever one you don't want,
I'll take.
Oh,
that's great.
But
already working together, and he's like,
but it's not.
Hey, let's work on a deal.
It makes it sound like Terry's like selling off a player, right?
Yeah.
But what Terry really knows is that both Fatadad and Miller should be starting goalies in the EHL, right? And it's tough when I think Miller is an 01 or 02.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So this is Miller's age out year, and it's not Fatadad's age out year, right? So
Fatadad was really young when he came to the league. Wasn't he like 17 when he was a rookie?
Yeah,
I think he's only 19.
Tristan Fatadad is an 03.
Yeah,
so he could play this season and next season.
Correct. And Miller's an 02, so this is Miller's age out year. So essentially, Terry's kind of at the point where it's like, do I commit to the age out who needs the time, or do I commit to the younger guy who has the extra year as well? I mean, both goalies deserve to be starters, really. That's what it comes down to. So it's something for us to keep an eye on. Absolutely. On the E show as well, because if one of them does end up in Seacoast, that's a huge get for Seacoast.
Can I say one little story about Fatadad?
Yes, of course.
Story time continues.
I actually want to put in two here, because the first time I spoke to Fatadad was when Matt Sales played for Protec after the 87s had traded him, and Sales came back to play against the 87s. He ended up getting the shutout. Before the game, I was talking to Fatadad. He was a scratch that day. And I remember him telling me, he's like, oh, yeah, we love Matt Sales. And, he looked both ways and he goes, honestly, Matt Sales is the most normal goaltender I've ever met. Because goalies have that reputation for being so eccentric. Yeah. And he just told me, no, he's pretty normal for a goaltender. I've never seen that before. And then last year, I was with some friends. We had rented out one of the small ponds at Protec because if you go in the main entrance, on the right side, they have the main rink. On the left side, they have 2 or 3 mini rinks. So my friends and I were skating in one of the mini rinks for like a little private open hockey session, and we saw some of the Ducks players there. And I saw Tristan working on like an industrial fan that was there. And I thought he was fixing it. So I'm walking out of the building. I see him. I go, "Yo, Tristan, what are they making you fix the fan too? Doing all the maintenance?" He goes, "Well, sometimes we might drive the Zamboni every now and then to help out." But he goes, "What I was doing with that fan, I'm trying to get the motor so I can make a machine that will shoot pucks at me. So I don't need to have anyone else shoot pucks at me." And he looked at me with this determined look on his face. And he said, "Anthony, if I can get this machine up and running, nobody's going to score on me for the rest of the season."
Wow. Tristan Fatadette, HVAC license on the side. You can come fix your fans, your air conditioning units.
And he's such a great kid, a bright kid. I don't think he's going to have any problem going to a good school when it comes time for him to commit. And, whether he stays with Protec or he goes elsewhere, he's going to find a lot of success. I can tell you that right now.
And that's something that Coach Strider definitely wants to nail down after losing, was it not Profaci? Who was it he lost midseason last year to college?
Wow, you're putting me on a tough spot. Oh, my God.
I'm blanking. Profaci was the one Profaci and Adams came in after.
Ty Franchi.
Ty Franchi, that's what it is. Profaci and Franchi.
Do you remember the Fatadad celebration in this January recap video? You don't remember this? Yeah. So this is obviously from the great Trevor, right?
The great Trevor Blackbird.
The 1 minute video after every showcase, right? With just a bunch of highlights.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it's from this showcase. I'm wasting time.
Oh,
it's not that one. Remember when he went right to the middle of the ice and did that?
Wow.
What is it? The "Are You Not Entertained"?
I think that's what it is. Yes.
So that's very WWF from the 90s. Very like Degeneration X or something.
There are a lot of good celebrations at this showcase, to be totally honest.
Real quick, back to the Nordiques thing real quick, deal. I was just bringing that up because we were talking about Terry's great style. Terry did not love that picture, I guess. Because I texted, I was like, "Terry, congratulations, my man. Sorry you just got a little scouting job with the Maine Nordiques. Proud of you. Awesome." He's like, "Thanks, Jeff." And I was like, "And as always, looking suave in your picture, looking sharp." He's like, "Actually, I don't like that picture a lot." I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Look, you got the tan pea coat and all that stuff." And he's
mad at me because there's a picture somewhere that I can't find that has he was wearing a pocket square that day, and he really wanted that picture. I don't know where it is. I lost it. Like I don't know. I just don't have it.
He did not throw you under the bus, Neil. So
not yet. But back to the top 10. We got 6 so far. In Quinn, Newman, Tilly, Bro, White, and Selman. I'm glad we got to talk about those 2 goalies that he had this past year as well as Matt Sales. But for spot number 7,
where are we going? Because this is weird.
This one, I don't know how we haven't named this name so far.
Oh, Tyler Evelyn. Wow.
Yeah, is he Mr.
per game player?
Is he Mr. Duck almost in a way?
Yeah, he's played the most games in Protec history.
Like, and the best story that Terry has for Tyler is Tyler was really kind of just ready to go to college. He didn't want to. He kind of was at a point with this hockey where he was like, "I'm good. Like, I played through midgets in high school, and I'm kind of just ready to go." And Terry convinced him to come skate. One thing led to another, and a conversation with Tyler basically said, what do you want to do in college? Like, what do you want to go for? And Tyler said, "I want to go into engineering. It's a family thing for him." And Terry's like, "Well, let's get you to the Milwaukee School of Engineering." He's like, "Yeah, that's my number one choice. I'd love to go there." And Terry's like, "Let's make it happen." And then one thing led to another, and boom, he actually committed to MSOE in that 2020-21 season through Graham Johnson, who's the head coach out there, who used to coach in the EHL. So to then have that whole weight off of his shoulders in what was his second to last year of juniors, and then come back and play the 21-22, serve as a assistant captain this past year. I know it says center here. I want to say he played center. He played wing. I think he played defense a few times as well. Like, he would do anything and everything for Terry and his teammates.
Beautiful. Mr. Duck, Tyler Evelyn. Come on down. Number 7. Where we go from here, though, is going to be tough.
Yeah, very versatile forward.
I think this might be the first episode in a long time we're not going to have any goalies. And you just can't really they haven't been along round enough. The Fatted been the longest, but could be a Spartan soon. I don't know.
One of the best defensemen who never really got to play that many games in the league was Matt Harvey. He was part of the Ducks that first year, that 2020-21 season, and then went up to the CCHL and the NA this past year. I'm sure Anthony remembers him. He only played technically in 28 games in that first season, but he was arguably one of the top 5 defensemen in the league, I would say. So we can think about him.
Matt Harvey. I was going to say TJ Ezzard was one I thought of, or Richard Stefanik. Stefanik. I'm forgetting how that.
Yeah, Stefanik was pretty good too.
Stefanik. He was a 2-year guy too. Only played 51 games total. I think he was banged up last year. Another guy that was there for 2 years for Terry.
Came in that 2020-21 season, 21 games that year. Played
Another guy
30,
that greatly improved too. Look at that.
Yeah, played 36 this past year. Another late addition in that. Yes, another late addition in that 2020-21 season was Conor Taglione.
Yeah, Tartaglione was good too. He was also with the Titans 18U team.
There it is, right here, Titans.
I remember watching him too with the Ducks, and it was fun watching him play.
Rhett Evian came in this past year, had 18 points in 19 games. I want to say he can return too.
He was huge. Him and Broadfoot came over from the Cyclones together.
Evian's 03 or even younger?
02.
Oh, no, 02. Okay.
Oh, from Swift Current, Saskatoon, boys. Bring it in. There we go. That's Terry had to get a little Canadian product.
I'm pretty sure I called Rhett Evian's first game. And
yeah, you probably did.
I was talking with the assistant coach. I was talking with the assistant coach, Jackson Brasser. Shout out to him, by the way. Great assistant. Probably one of the nicer coaches, right along there with Seth Gustin. But I was talking to Jackson, and he was saying how I think the day before he had to pick up Evian from the airport because he was just that recently acquired. And sure enough, he was on the ice at Jersey Shore Arena. But yeah, Evian is a great player. One of those guys who just looks like he has the puck on a string when he's handling it.
Yeah.
And if he returns, he can do some damage for Protec.
Do you want to include him?
I think we could. I mean, that's the weird thing about this episode is we're going to include guys that have been there for basically a cup of coffee because the Ducks have only had a cup of coffee with us in the EHL. So.
Between like Tartaglione, Rhett Evian, even Braden Patricia, guys who have played more or less 30 games but are at a point per game pace.
Yeah, Swartout and Patricia. I know they didn't finish their careers with the Ducks, but they were also 2 impactful guys. Patricia was like a 2-point per game player, I think, when he was there. I think it was like 30 points in 13, 14 games.
He was the reason.
Swartout was great for the 87s P team. Then he went to the Ducks, and he did well for the EHL, but unfortunately he left before the season ended.
Yeah. So if we include Evian, that gives us 8 so far. I think he's on this list.
Yeah, I think he is.
Question is, who are the other 2? You have Stefanik, you have Tartaglione, you have Harvey. I really liked Harvey the 1 year that he was with the Ducks. He was rock solid. I wish that it was more of a normal season, if you will, so we could have actually seen him play like in a showcase.
Yeah.
But
been nice.
In 02, still has 1 more year at juniors left, so we'll have to see if he ends up going back to Corpus Christi, which is where he finished last year in the NA. I would include him on this list.
Yeah. Like you said, tough season to come into the EHL. We'd like to have you in a non-pandemic season, Matt Harvey. This is the call to the bullpen to come on back to Protec, if you will.
If he wants to, right?
It'll be a lot more fun. We'll see you at the showcases. They're all scheduled. We'll all be there.
I also want to vouch for Conor Taglione for that last spot.
Yeah, I'm good with
Because
that.
not only was he a great player for the Ducks, he also scored the overtime winner against Apple Court to clinch their first ever series win.
Yeah, another guy that was just
Good
just
stat.
a point.
So
shy
I
of being a
think
point
I
per game
think
guy.
he scored the biggest goal in Protec's young history.
I think you can say that. Yeah, for sure.
And he goes on as number 10 just because he's Mr. Neil Ravin Symmetric Award. 13 goals, 13 assists. Boom, done. Lock it up.
We didn't even
Keeps
get
Neil
to that
smiling
part.
all day.
We didn't
all
even
day.
get to that part.
Just a point shy of being a point per game guy, though. 26 points in 27 games, Neil. But we won't mark that against his record.
Yeah.
Oh, he is still somewhat. Just kidding. Another
good
New
with that,
Jersey
too.
guy. Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, I think Terry's done a good job with that. A mix of
Keeping local
guys from New Jersey, but guys also not from New Jersey, right? Which, as
Evelyn
Jeff
from
mentioned,
Canada.
from Canada, huge Maple Leafs fan.
Huge.
But it's
Terry,
like
leaflets. Oof.
But he willingly admits
They're sucking.
that there's this gigantic first round hurdle that they just can't get past.
Hey, Jack Campbell's out now. What is it? Matt Murray they just signed? Oof. Matt Murray and I brought someone in to back him up too. Good luck to the Leaflets. We'll see you in the Atlantic. My Bruins, Neil's Bruins / Red Wings. We're all big Atlantic fans. And then Neil's and Anthony's in the Metro. But
are you good with this list? I like this list.
yeah, I think it's good.
Let's go over it.
Good 10, solid 10.
This is probably the highest number of defensemen we've ever had on the top 10 so far.
Sometimes we barely get one, let alone two. We got 3, 4.
We have
Harvey, White, Bro. Yeah. Wow.
You know what I have to actually check before we wrap this up is Terry did say to me once that with every season, he does a better job scheduling than the year before. Because we obviously tell them, here's where you have to schedule 6 matchups with the 87s, 3 home, 3 away, whatever it may be, right? And he says, I'm learning how to schedule better and better each season. So let's see how the Ducks start out this year. Because I'm kind of curious now. Look at that. First 2 games of the year at Philly Hockey Club. So,
and then they do a little Monday at the Little Flyers. There you go. So you got 2 Philly.
This is a home game in their new rink for this season, Menon Sports Arena. They get the Wolves, the Warriors, the Spartans in the first showcase. So maybe a Fatadad versus Ducks early on.
Ooh.
The one thing I noticed
against the 87s.
Ooh, okay, that's Anthony's big question. I like it. Here you go. Friday,
Rematch.
October 28th.
Rematch.
All right.
Jersey Shore Arena, bud. 12:30. You'll be there.
And actually, here's what I'm checking the most. End of the 2020-21 regular season. You ready for this? Little Flyers, 2 games. Right? End of the
games.
End of the 21-22 regular season.
PLF? Question mark?
Little
We're
Flyers.
They like to finish with they're trying to get a little revenge for that 2-game sweep.
So
Alo and the boys took
back-to-back years with the Little Flyers ending the season. This year, mix it up. 87s. So
another revenge. They had the revenge game set up.
Look how many home games down the stretch.
That's a nice 5 gamer. Pretty much the whole month of January.
8 of the last 11 games are at home.
Yeah.
So maybe he is doing better with the scheduling now.
Well done, Tear. They're growing right before our very eyes. We're proud of you.
Yeah. To recap the top 10 for the Protec Ducks, who it's crazy to think they're only going into their third season, but have quickly established themselves amongst the teams right there in the South. We didn't even talk about that. South Division, toughest division, right? Anyways, top 10: Spencer Quinn, Nick Newman, James Tilley, Ryan Bro, William White, Brody Selman, Tyler Ebeling, Matt Harvey, Conor Taglione, and Rhett Evian.
Like the water, not Evgen. Evgen.
Yep.
That takes us through the halfway point of the summer. Now, this is the 10th team that we've done, which means 9 still remaining. Next week, we will feature the New England Wolves.
Ooh.
Should I drop in the joke now that Andrew Trimble sent me, or should I wait till next week?
Is it about Anthony?
It is about Anthony.
Oh, jeez. We're going back-to-back episodes of toughness for Anthony.
So we'll say it now, and we'll say it during the Wolves episode. But Andrew has requested Anthony not to include any 87s in the Wolves top 10.
Oh.
I'll have to look past and see how many 87 to Wolves transactions there have been.
Oh, man. When he texted me that, I got a good laugh. And Anthony's got a good laugh, too. It's pretty funny.
And I guess the challenge I'll have for Mr. Trimble is to listen to a podcast that's not featuring his New England Wolves, because he clearly hasn't been listening to the E-Show this summer.
Oh. Flex.
Well, that will do it for the Ducks this week. As we just mentioned, the Wolves next week, nearing the end of July. We're really just over 2 months from puck drop. So let's enjoy the rest of the summer. But the season's going to be starting pretty damn soon. So we'll talk to you guys next week.
We'll be seeing each other in the ring.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show. Learn more at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when next week's podcast is released.